Welcome back, everyone, to another broadcast of In the Trenches. Today, my guest is Ryan Robinson, and we're going to be talking all about how he got started blogging and generated hundreds of thousands, I think maybe millions of visitors to his website. We'll talk a little bit about that and how he does blogging and some of the things he's working on now, which I believe is software in the blogging space, AI, in fact. And so that's kind of a hot topic for me right now. We just wrapped up the AI Writing Summit as of this recording last week. And this should go live pretty soon thereafter. But the point is, AI has been on my mind a lot. So I'm excited to get into that. But Ryan, welcome to In the Trenches.
Thank you for having me. Great to see you again.
Yeah. So I was trying to, we were talking a little bit offline, how you mentioned your life has changed a lot since we last connected years ago, probably 5-6 years ago. And I know we connected online, probably through blogging and some of the stuff that we were kind of like doing that was kind of related. But take me back some years. You got started blogging and now you're obviously working on software in the space and doing a bunch of other stuff. So before we get to the current day, take me back a little bit and tell me a little bit about your story.
Oh, man. So let's rewind 12 years. 12 years ago, I was kind of leaving college and, praise to my online marketing professor. The first thing we did in my first day of that class was we all sat down, we registered domain names. And a big project during that semester of school was start a blog. Teach about what you're learning in this class, help some local small businesses. We paired up with people near my college who did kind of an internship program. And so my blog got off the ground thanks to college, which is kind of crazy. Maybe I'm one of those rare few people that can say college did change my life.
I was gonna say, I'm like, what a practical, what a homework assignment with so much utility. What a great teacher. I mean, kudos, honestly.
Now, I might be the only person from that class who still blogs, but you know what? One person, he made a lasting impact in my life. And so he's someone that I actually keep in touch with all the time.
That's awesome.
Great guy.
That's cool. What a great story. So that's how you got started. And then what did you start? So you were writing about, what did you write about at first?
I was doing marketing. That's what I studied. That's what I was learning in my first few jobs. And so I was kind of just teaching what I was learning as I was going. I began freelancing. So freelance writer, freelance content marketer. And then my blog really transitioned into talking about freelancing. What are the ups and downs? How do you start freelancing on the side of a day job? How do you construct a contract? How do you work on proposals? How to write pitch emails? I was really teaching the business behind freelancing for probably the first real iteration of my blog. And then that started to kind of take off. I got traffic from Google, some social media stuff, a little bit here and there, a little bit of YouTube. But really Hacker News, every time I'd publish something, I'd really I'd lean into the ridiculous with a title. So instead of, writing this post that was a story about my first product failure, I made a product in college and it was a total failure, but I called that article "How to Create a Product Nobody Wants and Lose $6,500." And so really just leaning into the absurd. And that went kind of viral on Hacker News and brought me a bunch of readers, signed up for my email list to learn about, hey, who's this weird guy talking about online business stuff, freelancing stuff. And then it just really kept gradually growing as I grew as a person. And I started figuring out through different day jobs and freelance gigs what this whole marketing thing's about, content marketing, right? That was a huge buzzword in the 2010s and teens. And eventually I really just got to this place where I was like, oh shit, I get 500,000 people to my blog every month who are wanting to learn about these topics that I'm just having fun talking about. And so that's when I really turned up a notch and I was like, okay, I'm going to go all in on blogging about blogging. And so that was kind of the next chapter. That was probably the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years of my blog was really primarily focused on teaching the craft of blogging, how to grow an audience, how to monetize a website, and everything in between.
Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit about the timeline here? I'm curious. Did you start, because you started right out of college then, and when was the tipping point for you? Like you mentioned, it was one of those articles that got picked up and went viral.
Yeah, the first viral article, oh my gosh, had to have been around 2015, 2014. And by that point, I had already been blogging for 4 years, 3 years, 4 years, off and on, right? And lots of iterations, lots of just testing things out, experimenting here and there. But the blog really took 3 to 4 years to actually start taking off. And then, when you look at monetizing the blog, like it was another couple of years before I really figured out what I was doing. And, that's when I had my first podcast, which I had you on, the Side Hustle Project. And that show I monetized with sponsors. I figured out how to do affiliate income. I figured out, I can teach courses based on my expertise and these things I've learned. And, I've always been clear. I don't have all the answers about everything for everyone. And I think there's something special about just being honest, just being real about, hey, here's what my experiences are. Here's what I've learned. And approaching that with just humility that I think actually can connect you with people in such a more potent way.
Yeah. So I'm curious, how did you start monetizing in the early days, and did that change over time?
Yeah, it changed a lot over time. If I can look back at any trend, it's that my monetization, the way I've monetized my audience, my site, has changed about every year and a half. It just changes the constant. And so the first ways I did it was through freelancing. So building an audience. I lived in San Francisco at the time, worked for tech startups. Those were all my clients. I had a full-time gig working for one of them too. And that was really that was the ecosystem that I was in. And so I ended up freelancing for dozens of companies like Gusto, LinkedIn, Intuit, QuickBooks, Mint, like tons and tons of these companies in the Bay Area. And started to get referred by word of mouth and whatnot. But then
were you predominantly doing like content marketing at that time?
Totally content marketing consulting. So writing blog posts, essentially, writing some guides, writing some landing pages. And then what I did that made me unique at the time was I built in this promise that I will make your content successful. I'm not going to just give you a deliverable and then go peace out. I'm going to actually work hard to promote that content, to build some backlinks to it, to promote it to my audience, social channels, etc. And that's kind of when I began to spread out and learn oh, you know what? This is a lot of work. Maybe I want to figure out some of this more passive income stuff people are talking about.
Do you still actively blog today?
I do. I actually, we're recording this on a Tuesday. Last Friday, I wrote the first blog post that I've written from start to finish by myself in 6 months. And so I go through phases with this, right? Where I burn myself out. I've got 500 posts on my blog. I feel like I've said everything I can say about blogging or that I care to say about it. But every once in a while, I get a really interesting, good question from a reader, and that'll spark something. That'll spark a video. That'll spark a blog post. But I'm also now at the stage where I have people who help me, various contractors at different kind of stages along the journey, and AI tools, right? Like generating first drafts, generating outlines. There's a lot of really cool things that have been happening in this space over the last few years that's able to really change what my workflow is so that I don't have to start to finish every piece myself.
Yeah. So the blog started, it was like a kind of a side hustle. When did it become your full-time thing?
Not until 2017, 2018. Okay. So by that point, I was 6 years into it, 6 years into it on the side.
Yeah. And then as of today, flashing forward now to today, do you still do any sort of freelancing? Do you still work with clients? What is the business scope like now? Because I know you also have RightBlogger, which obviously I want to talk about as well.
Yeah, I would say the best way to describe it is that I completely burnt myself out on doing client work and doing projects for, quote unquote, other people, right? Yeah. And I'm in this privileged position where I can say no to that kind of stuff because I have enough things going on in my own world and doing creative projects. And my blog has done well enough over the years to where I've built up a safety net. I've built up some ability to diversify how I'm spending my time. And for me, client work has always been the most taxing, the most emotionally draining, and the least connected to meaning and purpose for me too. So that was the first to go.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's because my story is like, similar, but also obviously very different. But it also is included like there's been ebbs and flows to what I've done, and even the work I do. And like there was a while where I was doing, especially when I was just getting started, like had to max out the client work because I went from army to no job. So just trying to basically full-time freelance kind of thing, like just or make money however I could. But then feeling the same way, kind of growing that almost to like a small little agency and realizing like this isn't really where I want to be. Moving away from that, moving to a new thing. But now it's like, and now though it's funny because now I'm like almost getting an itch to work on like some client project type stuff, which I don't know if I will. I'm in a fortunate
comes
position.
Full
Like,
circle sometimes, huh?
sometimes it does, right? That's what I was wondering about for you, like if it's gone back and forth. But now you got the new business and you got the new tool that you guys are building. So tell me a little bit about RightBlogger and when this started.
Yeah, so RightBlogger was really born out of and this is the best way, in my opinion, to start a business, is it is scratching my own itch. So as soon as AI started blowing up in 2022, 2023, I started to get interested in this stuff. And my longtime collaborator, Andy, he builds all of these tools on my website. He does all the WordPress development for my site. Together, we collectively probably touch 50 sites together, just in random different niches that we find interesting. And so he's this person that I've known also since college. And I had this kind of aha moment where I realized oh, these AI tools are going to change everything. And they're starting in content, which is kind of wild to be at this place where I have this blog that's influential in the content and the marketing and the blogging spaces. And I had everything I needed, all the people, all the resources, all the interesting insights myself to actually start playing around with these kinds of tools from kind of day one. And so diving into, OpenAI, ChatGPT, really playing with these tools, just starting to have some of these aha moments of oh, we can make a tool that instantly writes 10 blog post headlines for anyone who wants headlines. And I can host that on my site. And my website's been around for long enough that I can rank #1 for, blog headline generator, stuff like that. And so really leaning into what my strengths are to host something I have 30 free tools now on my blog that anyone can use forever free. And that's the intention, is that basically AI is helping us to democratize these tools that used to be kind of totally gate kept. Things like Ahrefs, SEMrush, not going to say they're bad tools because they're honestly great. I use them myself, but they're expensive. And so RightBlogger was kind of born of this need of oh, wow, all right, I can take this new skill, this new interest I have, and parlay my existing audience and reach into this new platform, which is what RightBlogger became.
So you have a bunch of free tools, but then, sorry, so what is the paid tool?
RightBlogger is essentially, it's twice the number of tools and it's more in depth. Each of the tools have far more options inside RightBlogger. So what you see on my blog is this is a good version. And what you get in RightBlogger is this is where I've perfected the prompt writing. This is where we have the 20 different options on the article writer tool versus what you get the free version. It's much more like something that you'd interact with ChatGPT. It's very straightforward.
Yeah. It's an interesting model though, because it sounds like, could I just go to the website and just use these tools right away? Or do I have to sign up? Do you have a free version that you sign up for? What's your model here for this?
On my blog, show up, use it. Okay. And if you like it, come back. If you want more, try RightBlogger. And RightBlogger is also free to try out. So we're really big on these kinds of tools are, they're pretty instantly commoditized, right? There's a million different AI tools out there. And we want people to be able to try them and see oh, there's kind of a difference here because this one is built by two people who've been blogging for over a decade each. And that's the real, the secret sauce we bring to it is we engineer prompts, we get super detailed. And just from kind of the user experience perspective, we know what we want to see out of a blog post and out of, all these different outputs. Whereas, a lot of these software tools are built by people who spotted spotted an opportunity and wanted to, make a big splash in this space, or it was more of a business opportunity than it is like some sort of personal connection. And I mean, for me, these are the tools that I actually use. So this is very personal.
Yeah. So it's I have a few questions. Like from idea to like inception of idea to the first deployable version of this, how long was that?
Andy is somehow like a magician. And so within 1 month, we launched the first version of RightBlogger. And looking back at it, it's pretty shocking that people paid us for that version of it. But I think it just hit the right time when AI tools were still like really, really new and buzzy. And, we're still in the infancy of this industry, honestly. But today the product is so much more mature, but it's kind of the byproduct of working with the people who are customers and like taking feature requests, tool ideas, like making improvements over time goes on. And I mean, this has really become what I spend most of my time on now is RightBlogger.
Yeah. If you can share, by the way, I'm going to ask you these questions, but you don't have to like get specific if you don't want, or you can just like give me some generalities or whatever, but I got to ask them. When you first started then, was it predominantly to your own list? And like, what was like your because people talk about email lists a lot, and I'm a big proponent of email marketing, and email I still think is the best. I think blogging is very great, very important too, but they've served different purposes. So I'm big on email marketing and list growth and stuff like that. So you had a fairly big list. Like, were you over 100,000?
Yeah, my email list is still like, I've done a lot of pruning over the years, and like, I'd say 70-ish thousand really active, engaged people that I message, weekly or multiple times a week. But, you look at the crew that I sometimes send to, like maybe around 140, 150,000. And so that was hugely helpful in launching a new software tool that's directly related to what people join my email list for. Like that really can't be understated, because we haven't done a ton of promotion of RightBlogger. It's been really organic and really just to my audience, but we've still built a really sizable business. Like we've got over 10,000 people have used the tools. Like active number of customers, we're somewhere between 550 and 600 right now, and like 15,000 in MRR. Like it's a pretty solid business for basically just promoting to my own audience only.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the reason I bring this up. I know a lot of listeners, and this is how I started, and that's the reason I started the podcast, was like, it was side hustle, exploring new things. Like that's been a constant theme, and just starting and shipping. I love that stuff. Like I love figuring out like the strategy that goes into developing new products or releasing them, and all this stuff. I'm a nerd. I think I'm a big nerd when it comes to this stuff, so I'm fascinated by it. So like again, it just goes to the point. You over this time, you'd accrued all this, you'd built this asset. You built the asset through the sweat of writing and doing what you're doing month over month, year over year, and now then rolling out this software product to that list. It's like if that's your number one marketing channel, which it sounds like it is right now, at least, it's like goes to show you that overnight success, so to speak, because it's like a 6-figure business then, right? And just from your own list. But again, I guess the point to bring to light is build an email list, keep sharing, keep teaching. That stuff can accrue later on. Like the value of that, you can extract the value out of it later on too. I never got the sense from you as you're sharing your story that you ever felt like I have to urgently extract like money out of this list or whatever, right? Where I know a lot of people, that's how they think. So I'm just curious your thoughts on that.
This is the classic 10-year overnight success story that I literally could not have predicted. Like at the time I started my blog, I had no idea that AI tools would be a thing, right? Let alone having all the right resources, people, et cetera, to be able to execute on it myself. And so that was huge to it. And to me, like, I mean, everything comes back to relationship building. I will always, always, always forego $1 today from someone in order to just give them the feeling of, oh, this Ryan guy, he actually cares. He's actually telling me what he really believes to be, true in his experience. And so that's huge to me. Like that through line, anytime that, because, I'm human, anytime I've experimented with stuff that does feel like it's more about making money
Right.
versus relationship building and helping people, I always feel icky, man. Like it
Yeah.
always comes back. And even if it's something I try for weeks or months, I'll be like, oof, yeah, that wasn't right. That
Mhm.
wasn't right. I got to turn that one down.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great points. And again, I think it ties into maybe how you're, quote unquote marketing. And I mean, you are, even if it's just to your own audience, to the traffic that comes to your site, and what you're doing, which I'm curious to learn more about too. But the idea of having the free tools accessible. So, like, again, I don't know. I wouldn't say like you're the first person I've ever seen ever do that, but you don't see it often, right? So, I think there's something interesting there. So, tell me a little bit about your thought process of like having free tools on the site, maybe that some people might put behind like a sign up or a paywall or something like that.
Yeah, this is my, again, this is my theory, right? Like
Yeah.
this is a test, but my lived experience as a blogger, as a marketer, as a writer over the past decade and change has been that every single time I discover a free tool that I like and is useful, it's either, within 6 months, 6 to 12 months, and it becomes more popular. It's either sold. So some big tool company buys it and they put a paywall on it, or they realize like, oh wow, we can make money charging for this tool, and so they put a paywall on it. And so ultimately what I was really thinking here was like, I'm pretty sure this is a novel concept to have tools that I promise are forever free, and they will be good. They're updated, they're maintained, they're things that I care about because I use them. And so that hypothesis is, again, like, it comes back to this, what my like 10-year game is. I don't care about, you know, optimizing for conversions today. If someone comes to my free tools once a week for months on end, and then, they get the right job or circumstances changes in their life and they can afford to try out these more, paid tools that have a lot more to offer,
Mhm.
that's the kind of game that I'm playing.
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense to me. I think it's super interesting. So, like, what have you been doing now? You mentioned you're primarily tapping into like your existing audience, the traffic that's coming there. How big is the team? Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about the business itself. I'm curious.
It is literally Andy and I, just my co-founder and I. And
Very cool.
he builds everything, I market everything. And so aside from just my own audience, like my free tools on my blog, emails to my list, the only other channel we've even experimented with so far has been affiliates. And
Yep.
so I have like a really strong background in affiliate marketing, and I've been hitting up people, in my space, people I know, podcast guests I've had in the past. And so being able to really organically tap into these relationships and say, hey, if you talk about content creation, AI, blogging at all, here's a great tool. We have a great affiliate program for people to join. And if your audience is interested in this, like, share it with them. But low pressure. And we have a lot of people that also just discover our affiliate program from the link in our site footer. But I mean, I'll be honest with you, Tom, like, RightBlogger is the definition of untapped potential.
Yeah. Where do you see in the next? So you've had pretty steady growth, I believe you indicated. And so where do you see it going in the next 6 to 12 months? Do you feel like there's going to be a key hire in there at all soon? How do you view it? Like, how do you think about that? And I mean, you're a software founder now. I'm curious.
Yeah, well, this is actually really important. I'm a blogger turned software founder, and I don't have the expertise of growing a software business. So for
Yeah.
me, this is so much about just the F around and find out game. And
Yeah.
so,
That's kind of
we
fun.
test out different channels. I had started an outreach campaign yesterday, just trying to activate some more like higher level affiliates and see how that does for us. But really, we have not cracked the secret to like truly scaling the growth. Like, we have very consistent, steady growth, but it's pretty reliant upon like my audience and affiliates. So yeah, we haven't really experimented with paid ads. There's a lot that
Yeah.
we haven't tried.
Yeah. Well, I'm the same way. Like, I'm just now doing ads, like getting into that pretty seriously in the last 6 months, whereas I've kind of avoided it for like forever. But we're finally doing it not for software, but for an education program that we run. And so finally, we've actually gotten it going where we're actually now generating sales from that and it's profitable. So I'm like, okay, I get it. I get why people eventually go this route, why they, because now it's like, okay, can we ramp it up as we kind of dial it in? But I've always been heavy on affiliates too. Like to the point where when at the last venture that I started was like, it was 99% affiliates to get it going. And now using that to grow the list and build their own audience and stuff like that, it's more even. But for you, it was your list first, then tapping into affiliates. How significant is the affiliate, say, revenue generation compared to your other marketing channels? Well, I guess your list and your blog traffic.
For the first 6 months, let's say I was driving 100% of sales, right? And now we've been at this for just over a year, and we're at around like 50% me, 50%
Nice.
Collection of other affiliates.
Yeah.
So that's a really positive signal.
Yeah, I'd say so. That's huge. Very quickly. Awesome.
Yeah.
So then you're continuing to tap into that, and that's obviously a growth channel. What else? What else are you looking at?
We're doing content, right? So leaning again into like what my background is, what my skills are. So we're doing really solid, like long form landing pages for all of our tools. So something, designed to rank for AI article writer, right? Like that's kind of but this is a long-term investment. Content is always a long-term investment. Like we're planting seeds now that we're hoping to kind of benefit from in like 6 months. 3 to 6 months would be kind of the earliest time horizon for any of those tools doing super well in organic search. And so what we really want to figure out next is what our next big growth channel is. And we're starting to think through that. Like, we spend a lot of time in the past like month or two starting to make YouTube videos. So I think we have like 70 videos on our RightBlogger YouTube channel, and on my channel, like I want to make more consistent video, but oh my gosh, it is one of those like trying to find the time to do it all games.
That's it.
And then also live a happy life, do stuff outdoors here in Colorado. Like what?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's why I thought like YouTube, I've always been attracted to it, like see the value in it. But I'm just like, man, I don't know. I can't, the extra effort that has to go into doing it right. I'm just like, I can put this effort elsewhere.
That's the thing, because you look at, like you had Noah Kagan on the show recently, right?
Yep.
He kills it with his production value on YouTube.
Yep.
And, make no mistake, that is like many people's full-time job that not only like keep that wheel spinning, but like got it started. And he's great on camera. Like he has great ideas. Like he's a great person to do well with it. But oh my gosh, it does take a small army.
Well, and I don't know if, I hope I'm not getting this wrong. And I believe I know for a fact he shared this publicly. So this isn't like privileged information. He might even share it with me, but I think it was on maybe one of his YouTube videos or something like that. But I think he invested like $1 million into that. And you can see it because the production quality is there, just like you said. And it's like, and he's got all the ingredients for it, but he did that. And now I think he shared his numbers that he is, generating however X amount, 5,000, 10,000 a month and ad revenue and stuff like that. But just goes to show you that to get to like, in some cases, the very high quality, you definitely have to invest hundreds of thousands or like significant amount, or you got to be all in it. Whereas I've never been like really let's get the super nice camera thing kind of working kind of guy. I'm a let's shoot from my laptop and make it work for my lifestyle kind of guy.
Yeah. I'm somewhere in between those two right now. Like I've got the gear now. I've got the gear here next to me, and now I'm learning the craft. So, there is just so much that goes into this, dude. Like you really gotta, any video that you want to be truly successful on YouTube, if you can engineer such a thing without, a channel that doesn't have tens of thousands of subscribers already, it has to be storyboarded. You got to really think through the shot list. Every word is usually pretty important and intentional. You look at the videos that do really well, and like there's often multiple camera angles. There's movement going on. It's usually something that's beyond just an individual creator's capabilities, not necessarily, but a one person army that pulls off something that looks like a Noah Kagan level video is someone who's like a level 1000 expert at their craft, and they make it look easy.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And have you done YouTube for a long time, or with clients? Like, do you have
Really
experience?
off and on. Like I think I probably have 40 videos on my channel.
Yep. And so are you, yeah, what level are you starting with on there, like in terms of subscribers?
Right now, I've got like 4,200 or something subscribers. And
So,
really, the majority of my early subscribers came from just videos embedded in my blog posts.
yep.
And the videos weren't fancy. Like, this was just a game of like, here's where I'm at in my
Yep.
capabilities and my tech skills and my
Yep.
gear. And so I'm just going to make videos that are, as you said, screen
Yeah.
share, Mac camera, etc. And so now I'm kind of like in the middle of what it means to level up production dramatically.
Are you doing all that yourself to start?
Luckily, this is the unicorn thing when it comes to relationships.
Yeah.
Andy, my co-founder with RightBlogger, is like a crazy good photographer, videographer, and editor. Like
Mm.
he has one of his photos of, I think it's of cherry blossoms in DC. He has being blown up and he's being paid by a hotel in DC to have like his photos on the walls in there. So much of this comes down to who you know. And like, I'm very, very lucky that I have someone great to learn from. And then it's just a matter of like really developing these skills. And I think it's important to also take a step back and say, like, is this something that I do want to go deep into? Like, am I deriving joy, satisfaction from it? I think when you look at it, you isolate it to just a business thing, like you really run the risk of burning yourself out by trying to commit to spending hours and hours a week doing something that, on the inside, you just feel about it.
Yeah. Which I think it just probably goes to the point, the earlier point, which is like just doing it, working for yourself and in this capacity. I mean, I guess a freelancer works for himself, but to now start your own venture, you can take like a lot of the energy you'd spend on others and just direct it at your own thing, which is kind of nice, and hopefully reap the much bigger part of the reward from it.
Yeah. And you really gotta, like, you have to find ways to make it fun for yourself.
Yeah.
And for me, like Andy and I hop on videos and we record together. Even if he's not going to be actually on camera, he's kind of a virtual producer for me. And a lot of the videos we make, we do together because he's also been blogging for over a decade. And so we have this interesting little thing going, but finding the fun, like even that has to be reinvented over time. And sometimes it has to happen often. Like I find that I get bored with things fairly easily. And so I always have to reinvent.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I think maybe, do you think part of that is just being a creator, an entrepreneur? Like, it's
I think it really goes back to being such a deeply creative type.
Yeah. Right. You want to constantly, it's like when I hear you talk about YouTube and like production value, I'm like, ooh, that's interesting. Like that would be fun to start experimenting with and building. And the software stuff, I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. Like I love the new project but I'm at that point, I have enough wisdom, I think, to know I gotta stick with what I'm doing that's working and try not to get shiny penny. But I'm not saying you are. I just, but even in the marketing stuff, all the content we do, the stuff we produce, like being a creative, like you probably are thinking about it, like a million things you could be doing right now. How do you decide like this is what we're doing? Is it based on, hey, I'm having fun doing this, or I think this will work and it's fun? Like, what's your criteria?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to sit here and tell you I've got some analytical proven process for this to make all the decisions for me, but no, it's very, very just personal interest based. So meeting myself where I'm at right now. And so there are periods of time, weeks, months, whatever, where I really love being on camera. I really love making videos, and I love getting super deep into like writing a script and like really perfecting that craft. And then I'll have a month where I'm like, oh man, I'm just not feeling this whole video thing right now. And it's taken me a while to take a step back and not project that as like doom and gloom, like, oh my gosh, what if I never get it back? What if I'm done with video? But to instead look at these as phases that I go through. And lo and behold, it always comes back. And so I think I like to really just lean into what feels right, what feels interesting, what's going to engage me, and what's fun in the moment. And then, weave that into here's the list of things that I know work also.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, have you ever gone through like you know, times where you wanted to quit or it wasn't working out so well in the past?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
So many times. I think with my blog, like I've gone through phases where, I've just feel so strongly convicted that, damn, I've said everything that I want to say about
Yeah.
blogging. I'm done with this. And instead of like, shutting it down or something, what I convince myself to do is like take a vacation from it.
Nice.
And that doesn't mean doing nothing. That means like doing other interesting, stimulating things for me. And, RightBlogger actually came about in a stage where I was pretty burnt out on doing the blog thing. And
Yeah.
so that was this like huge boost of energy that's still sustained for the past year.
That's awesome. That's very cool. Well, yeah. How do you, looking forward, I guess, what are some of your thoughts in terms of like, how do you see this AI landscape evolving? Now you're on the development side of it. I guess this is a loaded question. And so maybe I should start with a preface to this. So yeah, when it comes to AI, like currently with your users, what are the requests you're getting from your users right now in terms of functionality and what they want to see with your tool? Maybe even high level or conceptual or whatever. I'm just curious, like what's the immediate feedback from users that are using the tool?
The really like the TLDR of where AI is at right now is
Yeah.
that it will do a kind of decent first draft for an article. Let's just say, like, let's use that as the use case here.
Yeah.
Generating blog posts. It will do a kind of decent first draft. And then it needs you to do a lot with it.
Yeah.
And the consistent theme we get from people, and this is expressed generally, but it's also expressed through dozens of really specific requests, is that they want something that will do more. So people want content that they can more or less click a button and get something that is pretty close to publish ready. And I just don't believe AI is quite there yet. I think in the future it will keep getting better, but ultimately what limits AI dramatically is that AI is not a human. None of the data sets and language learning models that are creating a blog post, let's say, have had any lived human experiences itself. And so that will forever be a gulf between AI created content and human created content, or human at least being interwoven into the process with AI. Because I think there's a lot of great use cases for AI, like first drafts of blog posts when you really don't know how to approach a topic. Sure, that's okay. But definitely make sure that you come back and weave who you are into it, your life's experiences, your stories, your examples. That's the only way that you're ever going to get content that's genuinely good that starts with AI.
How do you seek then like making it better? I guess like, because I don't know a ton about the AI development scene, just like snippets. I've interviewed a lot of people who are using AI, and I won't say a lot, but I've interviewed a few software companies that are exploring or going deep with AI in different ways. I'm still kind of curious because it seems like almost like it's like a mystery box to me. What is AI? And it feels like you tap into this open AI or whatever it is, this large LLM, large language model.
Mhm.
So how do you seek to then improve your AI software? Like how does that work?
Everything comes back to breaking things down into its constituent parts. So how detailed, how zoomed in can you get into improving like just the really basic small specifics? And I'll give you an example. So one thing we're working on adding right now to RightBlogger is the ability to add internal links and for it to actually do it.
Cool.
So there's a lot of tools that, they attempt to add internal links, but AI loves to hallucinate, right? So there's still so many kinks in all of this AI software that it makes things up. You got to fact check everything that you create with AI because it's essentially and it's in its infancy, and it's essentially like really, really advanced versions of autocomplete right now. And so what that means to make it better is like really drilling down into the prompt and giving people the opportunity to edit the outline and add tons of specific information throughout the creation process. And, getting the internal links right is one really big thing, like that's a huge piece of any content that's going to do well on any website, no matter how much authority you have, is that it needs to have internal links. You got to link around to different pieces on your site. You have to really like focus on creating content that isn't just this kind of one-off silo. And so most AI generated content is kind of just a wall of text. And so the nuance of breaking down each of those little individual constituent parts and improving them is how we approach it.
How about for the content writing piece itself, even getting to the point of, the human experience? Like, how do you go about like, engineering it such that like the output I get from RightBlogger is better than say OpenAI or ChatGPT or whatever? Like, how do you go about drilling that down and making that better?
This is a fun one. Like we've spent a lot of time on this, and this will forever be a continuous improvement thing. But we have a feature that we call My Tone. And in My Tone, you can upload samples of articles you've written. You can upload, just a block of text that you wrote, and it'll essentially like train the AI model to write using your voice, your style, your tone. And that makes a big difference, but it's still not perfect, right? And so at the end of the day, no matter what, you really do have to make sure that you're creating content that is on topics that you do genuinely know about and you actually care about. Those are two things you cannot fake. And I mean, real humans who are reading your content will feel that if you're doing something that's, even if it's unintentional, you're seeing an opportunity, it'll feel disingenuous.
Do you feel like AI eventually, though, will be able to produce that?
I think it's possible. Honestly, I think we're all going to be shocked and surprised 10 years from now at how much AI is doing and how well it's doing it. But from where I'm sitting today, I will be pretty surprised and impressed if AI can, in one fell swoop, generate an article that genuinely feels like it was totally and completely written by me and impresses me.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder about that. And just like the future with this stuff. I'm like, because I see that I use AI every day. Like I have ChatGPT. I use certain tools that are just open for various things. Ebbs and flows what I'm using it for, but it's there. It's kind of a constant on my workflow now, which is kind of interesting. And I know that's not the case for most people, but I do wonder, like, I'm like, okay, will this get better? Or is it like the internet where it's like, it's just kind of basically the same as it was 30 years ago?
I do think it'll get better. It has to. Because I think what's different about AI versus the internet is that, I mean, that's maybe comparing apples to oranges, but AI is going to be self-learning, right? And so there's going to be this tipping point to where it's continuously improving itself. And I mean, that opens up a pretty wild box.
That's the premise, right? Or that's the promise, maybe. Yeah. I guess we have yet to see if that's the case, if it can actually self-learn, or do you feel like being in the space already, you actually how do I prove that it's self-learning at this point? And it's not just like people like computer farms, like coding all this back-end stuff for it.
To me, it's still an open question, honestly. Yeah. I would believe either outcome, to be honest. But I think it's highly likely, at least, if you just look at past trends and trajectories on advancement of different technologies, I think it's highly likely that AI becomes like a prolific part of everyone's lives in virtually every way, or at least in many, many ways. And I think this kind of gets to the like decades time scale, but who really knows?
Yeah. Does RightBlogger work for any kind of blogger or specific types? Like if I'm a food blogger, or if I'm this kind of blogger or whatever, like how does it work?
RightBlogger is great for anyone who creates content. And you don't even need to be a blogger. So I had a client close a CRM tool previously where like we were just doing content marketing, right? And so there's a bunch of tools that we built inside of RightBlogger specifically for content marketers. So we're building out Teams accounts where there's like, there's a shared dashboard and Susie can share whatever creations she created with Mark. And so there's a lot of benefits to collaborating with AI tools, but it's really like it's for anyone who's a creator, and we're building out the stable of video first creation tools as well. So we have one of our most popular recent new tools is YouTube video. It's a blog post generator. So you put in the URL for your YouTube video you just recently made, and it creates a pretty damn good first draft blog post for you instantly.
That's cool. Your site design is very nice. Did you design this?
That's all Andy.
Hey, man,
he's a magician.
That's excellent.
Yeah, it looks good. It feels good. It's
man.
Overall good experience.
Very cool. Yeah, this is super exciting. I find the story super interesting too. I would assume that all our listeners do too, because like I'm all about that. That's what In the Trenches is all about. Is just like how to get into the mind of the creator a little bit and see what you're doing. And I know it's a little back and forth, but it's just fun to dive in and see. I always get excited by the new venture. It's where I get my ears perk up. So you're at this beginning stage because I'm like, oh, you could be the next Nathan Barry or something like that. Another guy who I'm a big fan of, great writer, and I knew him back in the day doing something else, and now boom, ConvertKit. RightBlogger. It's in its infancy, but it's doing pretty well. I know you're just taking it as it comes, one day at a time. It sounds like, but do you see like in the future, like, oh yeah, this could be one of those big ones? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. We're working towards what our tipping point growth channel will be. That's the real one. And so TBD, to be honest. But it's funny you mentioned Nathan, because I literally had his kind of early ConvertKit days playbook up on my desktop right now, as kind of digging through the specific things he was doing. And honestly, something that I just started yesterday, direct selling. So starting to reach out to people, creators that have, 10K followers on YouTube, and starting to figure out what that kind of outreach and like having sales calls and what that kind of feels like.
Because the premise for them would be you're doing all this YouTube content, but you have no blog, or you're not really doing it right. This takes care of that. Dude, I think that's brilliant. Man, well, I'm super excited to see where you go with this, Ryan. Where can people reach out to find you, connect with you, and follow along? What's the best place to connect with you at?
Yeah, I'm a very accessible guy. I'm ryrob.com. My email's ryan@ryrob.com. And then RightBlogger's the home base for all the new things that are going on. And come on, give it a try.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for being in the trenches, Ryan. This is a pleasure.
Hey, thanks for having me.